Buckle up as we count down the shocking top 15 best sports cars from the 1960s. Machines that didn't just break records, they redefined automotive greatness. These legends were built for pure performance, unforgettable style, and a legacy that still turns heads today. From racetrack heroes to street legends, these are the icons that changed everything. Before we dive in, hit like, comment with your 60s favorite, and subscribe to Muscle Car Masters. Let's celebrate the golden era of sports cars. Let's get started. Shelby Cobra, 427, 1965-1967. Let's talk about automotive violence in its purest form. The Shelby Cobra 427 wasn't just a sports car, it was a barely contained explosion on wheels. Carroll Shelby took a lightweight British AC Roadster and stuffed Ford's monstrous 427 cubic inch big block V8 into it. The result? Pure, unfiltered automotive chaos. This thing cranked out 425 horsepower in a car that weighed less than 2,500 pounds. That's not just power-to-weight ratio. That's a physics experiment gone beautifully wrong. 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds wasn't just fast for 1965. It was downright terrifying. The quarter mile disappeared in 12.2 seconds, leaving rubber marks and shattered egos in its wake. But here's the real kicker. The 427 Cobra wasn't just about straight-line speed. It was built to dominate racetracks worldwide. With its tubular steel chassis, independent rear suspension, and massive 427 side-oiler engine, it became the weapon of choice for serious racers. This beast could pull over 1G on the skid pad and hit 185 power-amps on the straights. The shocking truth? Only 348 427 Cobras were ever built, making it rarer than most supercars today. Each one was hand-assembled in Shelby's California shop, where craftsmen turned raw aluminum and steel into automotive poetry. The side-oiler 427 engine was so robust that it could handle track abuse that would kill lesser motors. Here's what made it legendary. No electronic nannies, no power steering, no safety nets. Just you. 425 horsepower, and the laws of physics. Drivers either learned to respect it or ended up in the weeds. The 427 Cobra didn't just push boundaries, it obliterated them. Find one today, and you're looking at $1 million piece of automotive history that still runs like a scalded cat. Ferrari 250 GTO, 1962-1964. If automotive perfection had a name, it would be Ferrari 250 GTO. This isn't just a sports car, it's the holy grail of automotive collecting, the unicorn that every enthusiast dreams about, but few will ever touch. Built between 1962 and 1964, only 36 examples left Maranello, making it rarer than diamonds and more valuable than most small countries' GDP. Under that gorgeous Pininfarina-designed body sat Ferrari's legendary 3.0-liter Colombo V12 engine, producing 300 horsepower. But numbers don't tell the story here. This engine was hand-built by master craftsmen, each component balanced and blueprinted to perfection. 6 Weber carburetors fed the beast, creating a symphony that made angels weep and grown men question their life choices. The GTO wasn't just beautiful, it was lethal on the track. With a top speed of 174 mph and handling that defied physics, it dominated GT racing from 1962 to 1964. The combination of lightweight construction, perfect weight distribution, and that screaming V12 made it virtually unbeatable. It won the International Championship for GT manufacturers 3 consecutive years. Here's the shocking truth. The 250 GTO was never meant for the street. It was pure race car, homologated for road use only because regulations demanded it. The interior was Spartan, the ride was brutal, and comfort was non-existent. But none of that mattered when you fired up that V12 and felt 300 Italian horses come alive beneath you. What made it legendary wasn't just performance, it was the complete package. Sergio Scaglietti's aluminum bodywork was both aerodynamically perfect and drop-dead gorgeous. The chassis was a masterpiece of engineering, combining strength with flexibility. Every component was designed with one goal, to be the fastest GT car on the planet. Today, a 250 GTO will cost you upwards of $70 million. That's not just appreciation, that's automotive immortality. These machines didn't just win races, they defined what a sports car should be. Pure, uncompromising, and absolutely spectacular. Jaguar E-Type 1961-1975. Enzo Ferrari called it the most beautiful car ever made. When the old man himself gives you that kind of praise, you know you've created something special. The Jaguar E-Type wasn't just a sports car, it was an automotive sculpture that happened to go 150 mph. Launched in 1961, it didn't just turn heads, it stopped traffic and made people question everything they thought they knew about automotive beauty. That gorgeous Malcolm Sayer-designed body wasn't just pretty, it was scientifically perfect. Wind tunnel tested and aerodynamically optimized, it achieved a drag coefficient that most modern cars would envy. But the real magic happened when you lifted that endless hood and saw Jaguar's legendary 3.8-liter straight-six engine, later upgraded to 4.2 liters of pure British muscle. With 265 horsepower and 283 lb-ft of torque, the E-Type could hit 60 mph in 7 seconds flat and cruise at 150 mph all day long. But speed was just part of the equation. The independent rear suspension, four-wheel disc brakes, and perfect weight distribution made it handle like a proper sports car should. This wasn't just fast, it was elegant speed. Here's what made it revolutionary. The E-Type offered exotic car performance at a fraction of the price. While Ferrari was charging astronomical sums for their machines, Jaguar delivered similar performance for less than half the cost. It was the democratization of automotive excellence, bringing supercar thrills to the masses. The shocking truth. The E-Type's influence extended far beyond the automotive world. It became a cultural icon, appearing in movies, inspiring fashion, and defining what the swinging 60s were all about. It wasn't just transportation, it was a lifestyle statement. What made it legendary was the complete package: breathtaking beauty, genuine performance, and British character in spades. The sound of that straight six at full song was pure automotive poetry. Whether you chose the coupe or roadster, you were getting one of the most beautiful machines ever created. Today, a pristine Series 1 E-Type is worth more than most houses, and every penny is justified. Porsche 911, 1963-1969. Some cars are accidents of greatness. The Porsche 911 was no accident. When Ferry Porsche and his team created the 901, later renamed 911 due to trademark issues, they weren't just building a sports car, they were laying the foundation for automotive immortality. Launched in 1963, the 911 didn't just succeed the 356, it redefined what a sports car could be. That distinctive silhouette wasn't just beautiful, it was aerodynamically brilliant. The sloping nose, curved roof, and fastback design created a shape so perfect it's remained virtually unchanged for over 60 years. But the real genius was hiding in the back. A 2.0-liter flat-six engine that would become the most recognizable power plant in sports car history. With 130 horsepower initially, the 911 wasn't the most powerful car of its era, but it was the most usable. The rear engine layout gave it unique handling characteristics that rewarded skilled drivers and punished careless drivers. This wasn't just about straight-line speed, it was about the total driving experience. The engine's distinctive sound, the precise steering, and the way it could dance through corners made it addictive. Here's what made it revolutionary. The 911 proved that sports cars could be daily drivers. While other manufacturers built temperamental exotics that needed constant attention, Porsche created a machine that started every morning and took whatever abuse you threw at it. It was reliable, practical, and devastatingly effective. The shocking truth? The 911 was initially supposed to be a temporary model. Porsche was working on front engine replacements throughout the 1960s, but customer demand kept the 911 alive. Good thing too, because by 1969, the 911 was producing 170 horsepower and could hit 60 mph in 6.6 seconds. What made it legendary was its evolution. The 911 didn't just arrive perfectly, it grew better year by year. Larger engines, improved suspension, better brakes, and refined aerodynamics turned it into a track weapon that could still commute to work. Racing versions dominated everything from rallies to Le Mans. The 911 didn't just compete, it conquered. Today, early 911s are worth serious money, but they're still the most usable vintage sports cars ever built. Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, 1963-1967. When Chevrolet dropped the split-window Stingray in 1963, they didn't just create a sports car, they unleashed American automotive fury on the world. This wasn't just another pretty face, it was a complete revolution, wrapped in the most gorgeous fiberglass body ever to roll out of Detroit. The C2 Corvette proved that Americans could build sports cars that looked exotic and performed like weapons. That Bill Mitchell-designed body wasn't just stunning, it was purposeful. Every curve, every line, every surface was sculpted for both beauty and aerodynamic efficiency. The famous split-rear window of the 1963 model created visibility issues, but it also created the most iconic profile in American automotive history. When they removed it in 1964, purists wept. Under that seductive fiberglass skin lay serious hardware. The base 327 cubic inch small block V8 cranked out 250 horsepower, but the real monsters came with the L84 fuel-injected version, producing 375 horsepower. This wasn't just power, it was volcanic fury that could launch the Stingray from 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds and through the quarter mile in 14.2 seconds. But raw power was just the beginning. The C2 featured independent rear suspension for the first time in Corvette history, transforming it from a straight-line bruiser into a genuine sports car. Four-wheel disc brakes, precise steering, and a chassis that could handle the power made it a track weapon that could embarrass European exotics. Here's the shocking truth. The Stingray was originally designed as a racing car. The styling was inspired by the 1959 Stingray Racer, and the engineering was pure competition bred. When the 427 Big Block arrived in 1965, producing up to 435 horsepower, it became one of the most fearsome machines ever built. What made it legendary was its perfect timing. The Stingray arrived just as America was discovering performance, and it delivered everything enthusiasts wanted: stunning looks, brutal power, and handling that could back up the attitude. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement. America had finally built a sports car that could run with the best Europe had to offer. AC Cobra 289, 1962-1965. Before the 427 Cobra became a legend, there was the original, the AC Cobra 289. This was Carroll Shelby's first masterpiece, the car that started the whole Anglo-American performance revolution, taking a lightweight British AC Ace Roadster and stuffing Ford's small block 289 V8 into it. Wasn't just clever engineering, it was automotive alchemy that created pure driving gold. The magic was in the numbers: 271 horsepower in a car that weighed just 2,020 pounds. That power-to-weight ratio was devastating in 1962, and it's still impressive today. 0 to 60 mph happened in 5.7 seconds, and the quarter mile disappeared in 14.3 seconds. But the real beauty was how it felt. Unlike the brutal 427 that followed, the 289 was controllable, communicative, and absolutely intoxicating to drive. Here's what made it special. The 289 Cobra was perfectly balanced. It had enough power to thrill, but not so much that it became unmanageable. The aluminum body kept weight down, while the tubular steel chassis provided the strength needed to handle the power. Independent front suspension and a live rear axle gave it handling characteristics that rewarded skill and punished stupidity. The shocking truth? The 289 Cobra was actually faster around most tracks than its more powerful 427 brother. The lighter weight, better balance, and more controllable power delivery made it a more effective weapon in the hands of skilled drivers. It could dance through corners where the 427 would struggle. What made it legendary was its purity. This wasn't about luxury or comfort. It was about the essential sports car experience distilled to its absolute essence. Side pipes that could burn your leg, a cockpit that barely fit two people, and an engine that sounded like controlled violence. Every drive was an event, every mile an adventure. Racing versions dominated SCCA competition, proving that the formula worked on track as well as on the street. The 289 Cobra didn't just perform, it redefined what a sports car could be. Aston Martin DB5, 1963-1965. Forget James Bond for a moment. The Aston Martin DB5 was legendary long before Euro 7 ever slid behind the wheel. Built between 1963 and 1965, this wasn't just a grand tourer. It was British automotive aristocracy, wrapped in aluminum and powered by one of the most beautiful engines ever created. The DB5 proved that sports cars could be both civilized and savage, elegant and explosive. That gorgeous Carrozzeria Touring-designed body wasn't just pretty, it was perfectly proportioned. Every line flowed with purpose, creating a silhouette that looked fast, standing still. The aluminum construction kept weight down, while the sleek aerodynamics helped it slice through the air at speeds that would make lesser cars weep. This was automotive sculpture that happened to go 150 m. Under that long, sensuous hood sat Aston Martin's legendary 4.0-liter straight-six engine, producing 282 horsepower. But it wasn't just about the power, it was about the delivery. This engine was hand-built by master craftsmen, each component balanced and blueprinted to perfection. 3 Weber carburetors fed the beast, creating an intake note that sounded like controlled fury. The DB5 could hit 60 mph in 8.1 seconds and reach a top speed of 145 mph. But numbers don't tell the story. This was about the complete experience. The way the leather-wrapped steering wheel felt in your hands, the sound of that straight six at full song, the way it could devour continents in supreme comfort. It was a gentleman's express that could embarrass pure sports cars. Here's the shocking truth. The DB5 was originally designed for the American market. Aston Martin needed to compete with Ferrari and Jaguar in the lucrative U.S. market, so they created a car that combined British luxury with Italian passion and German precision. The result was automotive perfection. What made it legendary was its dual personality. It could cruise through London traffic with the dignity of a Rolls-Royce, then transform into a track weapon that could show its tail to Ferraris and Porsches. The DB5 didn't just perform, it did so with unmatched class and style. Today, a pristine DB5 is worth over $1 million, and every penny is justified. Ford GT40, 1964-1969. Henry Ford II had a simple mission: beat Ferrari at Le Mans. What emerged from that obsession was the Ford GT40, a machine so purpose-built and devastatingly effective that it didn't just beat Ferrari, it humiliated them. Between 1966 and 1969, the GT40 won Le Mans 4 consecutive times, establishing American dominance in the world's most prestigious endurance race. This wasn't just a sports car, it was a full-scale assault on European racing superiority. The GT40 stood exactly 40 inches tall, hence the name, with a carbon fiber and fiberglass body that was both beautiful and aerodynamically perfect. But the real weapon was the engine, a 289 cubic inch Ford V8 that produced 350 horsepower in street form and over 400 horsepower in competition trim. The numbers were staggering for 1964. 0 to 60 mph in 5.1 seconds, 0 to 100 mph in 10.5 seconds, and a top speed of 164 mph. But speed was just part of the equation. The GT40 featured advanced technology, including a fully independent suspension, 4-wheel disc brakes, and a chassis that was both incredibly strong and surprisingly light. Here's what made it revolutionary. The GT40 proved that American engineering could match European sophistication. While Ferrari built beautiful, temperamental machines, Ford created a car that was both devastatingly fast and surprisingly reliable. It could run flat out for 24 hours straight and still be running when the checkered flag dropped. The shocking truth? The GT40 was initially a failure. The early cars were plagued with problems, and Ford was getting embarrassed on the world stage. But when they brought in the right people and gave them unlimited resources, the GT40 became unstoppable. The 1966 Le Mans victory was particularly sweet, with Ford GT40s finishing 1, 2, 3. What made it legendary was its mission. This wasn't about profit or practicality, it was about proving a point. Ford spent whatever it took to create the perfect racing machine, and the result was automotive history. The GT40 didn't just win races, it established America as a serious player in international motorsports. Today, original GT40s are worth millions, but their legacy is priceless. Lamborghini Miura, 1966-1973. When Lamborghini unveiled the Miura in 1966, they didn't just create a sports car, they rewrote the rules of what a supercar could be. This wasn't just another pretty face from Italy, it was a complete revolution that established the template for every supercar that followed. The Miura proved that beauty and performance weren't mutually exclusive, they were inseparable. That Marcello Gandini-designed body wasn't just stunning, it was a masterpiece of automotive sculpture. Every curve, every line, every surface was purposeful, creating a silhouette that looked like it was doing 200 mph standing still. The pop-up headlights, the sensuous curves, and that iconic side profile made it instantly recognizable and absolutely unforgettable. But the real innovation was hiding behind the driver. A 3.9-liter V12 engine mounted transversely, creating the mid-engine layout that would become the gold standard for supercars. This wasn't just about weight distribution, it was about creating a completely new driving experience. With 350 horsepower and 271 lb-ft of torque, the Miura could hit 60 mph in 6.7 seconds and reach a top speed of 171 mph. The shocking truth? The Miura was created almost by accident. Lamborghini's young engineers built it as a concept car without Ferruccio Lamborghini's approval. When they unveiled it at the 1965 Turin Auto Show, the response was so overwhelming that they had to put it into production. Sometimes the best ideas come from rebellion. What made it legendary was its influence. The Miura established the mid-engine supercar layout that Ferrari, Lotus, and every other manufacturer would eventually adopt. It proved that supercars could be both beautiful and functional, both exotic and drivable. The combination of stunning looks, revolutionary engineering, and intoxicating performance made it the blueprint for automotive excellence. Here's the wild part. The Miura was faster than anything Ferrari was building at the time. It embarrassed the established order and forced everyone to up their game. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement. Lamborghini had arrived, and the automotive world would never be the same. Ferrari 276 GTB4, 1966-1968. If Ferrari had a greatest hits album, the 275 GTB4 would be the title track. Built between 1966 and 1968, this wasn't just another pretty Ferrari. It was the culmination of everything Maranello had learned about building the perfect sports car. The 275 GTB4 took Ferrari's legendary V12 heritage and wrapped it in a body so beautiful it should have been illegal. That Pininfarina-designed aluminum body was pure automotive poetry. Every curve was purposeful, every line was perfect, and the overall proportions were so right they seemed almost inevitable. The long hood, short deck, and aggressive stance created a silhouette that screamed performance even when parked. This wasn't just transportation, it was a rolling sculpture. Under that sensuous aluminum skin sat Ferrari's legendary 3.3-liter Colombo V12 engine. But this wasn't just any V12. The 4 in the name referred to the 4 overhead camshafts, double the number of the previous 275 GTB. This quad-cam setup allowed the engine to breathe better, rev higher, and produce more power. The result was 300 horsepower of pure Italian fury. The performance was staggering for 1966, 0 to 60 mph in 6.5 seconds, 0 to 100 mph in 15.5 seconds, and a top speed of 165 mph. But it wasn't just about straight-line speed. The 275 GTB4 featured a proper transaxle, putting the transmission in the rear for perfect weight distribution. Independent rear suspension and four-wheel disc brakes made it handle like a proper sports car should. Here's the shocking truth. The 275 GTB4 was originally designed for racing. The lightweight aluminum body, the powerful engine, and the advanced suspension were all developed with competition in mind. Road cars were almost an afterthought, which is why they feel so raw and uncompromising. What made it legendary was its perfect balance of beauty and performance. This wasn't just a pretty car that happened to be fast, or a fast car that happened to be pretty. It was the perfect marriage of form and function, creating a machine that was both a work of art and a devastating weapon. Today, a pristine 275 GTB4 is worth over $3 million, and every penny is justified. Lotus Elan, 1962-1975. Colin Chapman had a simple philosophy: add lightness. The Lotus Elan was the perfect embodiment of that principle, proving that you didn't need massive horsepower to create an intoxicating sports car. Built between 1962 and 1975, the Elan wasn't just light, it was a featherweight boxer that could dance around heavyweight opponents and leave them dizzy. At just 1,515 pounds, the Elan was lighter than most modern motorcycles. But it wasn't just about weight, it was about how that weight was distributed. The steel backbone chassis, fiberglass body, and perfect 50-50 weight distribution created a machine that responded to your thoughts before you even moved your hands. This was telepathic handling in its purest form. The heart of the Elan was Ford's 1.6-liter twin-cam four-cylinder engine, heavily modified by Lotus. With 105 horsepower in a car that weighed less than 1,600 pounds, it didn't need massive power to be devastatingly quick. 0 to 60 mph happened in 7.0 seconds, but it was the way it got there that mattered. The Elan felt alive, eager, and absolutely addictive. Here's what made it revolutionary. The Elan proved that handling was more important than horsepower. While American manufacturers were stuffing bigger engines into heavier cars, Chapman created a machine that could embarrass cars with twice the power. The independent suspension, precise steering, and perfect balance made it a track weapon that could show its tail to much more expensive machines. The shocking truth: the Elan was initially a commercial failure. Lotus was a small company, and the Elan was expensive to produce. But it established the template for every sports car that followed. The Mazda Miata, the BMW Z3, and countless other roadsters all owe their existence to the Elan. What made it legendary was its purity. This wasn't about luxury or comfort. It was about the essential sports car experience, distilled to its absolute essence. Every drive was an event, every corner an opportunity to dance. The Elan didn't just perform, it communicated. It was a machine that made you a better driver simply by driving it. Maserati Ghibli, 1967-1973. When Maserati unveiled the Ghibli in 1967, they didn't just create a grand tourer, they unleashed Italian passion in its most seductive form. This wasn't just another pretty face from Italy. It was pure automotive sensuality wrapped around one of the most beautiful engines ever created. The Ghibli proved that grand tourers could be both civilized and savage, elegant and explosive. That Giorgetto Giugiaro-designed body was pure automotive poetry. Every line flowed with purpose, creating a silhouette that looked fast, standing still. The long hood, aggressive stance, and distinctive side vents created a presence that was both elegant and menacing. This wasn't just transportation, it was a statement of intent. Under that sensuous steel skin sat Maserati's legendary 4.7-liter V8 engine, producing 330 horsepower in the standard version and 335 horsepower in the SS. But it wasn't just about the power, it was about the delivery. This engine was hand-built by master craftsmen, each component balanced and blueprinted to perfection. 4 Weber carburetors fed the beast, creating an intake note that sounded like controlled violence. The Ghibli could hit 60 mph in 6.8 seconds and reach a top speed of 154 mph. But numbers don't tell the story. This was about the complete experience. The way the leather-wrapped steering wheel felt in your hands, the sound of that V8 at full song, the way it could devour continents in supreme comfort. It was a gentleman's express that could embarrass pure sports cars. Here's the shocking truth. The Ghibli was Maserati's answer to the Ferrari Daytona. While Ferrari built a front-engine GT that was more track-focused, Maserati created a machine that was equally fast but more luxurious. The result was a car that could cruise through Monaco with the dignity of a Rolls-Royce, then transform into a track weapon. What made it legendary was its dual personality. It could cruise through city traffic with the refinement of a luxury car, then unleash its inner beast when the road opened up. The Ghibli didn't just perform, it did so with unmatched Italian style and passion. Today, a pristine Ghibli is worth serious money, and every penny is justified for this piece of automotive art. Dodge Charger RT, 1968-1970. When Dodge dropped the Charger RT in 1968, they didn't just create a muscle car, they unleashed American automotive fury in its most beautiful form. This wasn't just another pretty face from Detroit, it was pure performance wrapped in sheet metal that looked like it was carved by the gods themselves. The Charger RT proved that American cars could be both gorgeous and devastatingly fast. That Coke bottle-shaped body wasn't just stunning, it was aerodynamically advanced for its time. The hidden headlights, the aggressive stance, and those iconic round taillights created a silhouette that was instantly recognizable and absolutely unforgettable. This wasn't just transportation, it was a rolling sculpture that happened to go 150 mph. Under that seductive steel skin sat Dodge's legendary 440 Magnum V8 engine, producing 375 horsepower and 480 lb-ft of torque. But the real monster was the optional 426 Hemi, cranking out 425 horsepower of pure American fury. With the Hemi, the Charger RT could hit 60 mph in 5.3 seconds and run the quarter mile in 13.5 seconds at 105 mph. The shocking truth: the Charger RT was originally designed for NASCAR. The aerodynamic body, the powerful engines, and the sophisticated suspension were all developed with racing in mind. Road cars were almost an afterthought, which is why they feel so raw and uncompromising. When Richard Petty drove a Charger to victory at Daytona, it validated the entire program. What made it legendary was its perfect timing. The Charger RT arrived just as America was discovering performance, and it delivered everything enthusiasts wanted: stunning looks, brutal power, and handling that could back up the attitude. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement. This was American automotive excellence at its absolute peak. Here's the wild part: the Charger RT was faster than most European exotics of the era. It embarrassed Ferraris and Porsches in straight-line performance while costing a fraction of the price. This wasn't just about muscle, it was about proving that American manufacturers could build world-class performance cars. The Charger RT didn't just compete, it dominated. BMW 2002, 1968-1976. When BMW launched the 2002 in 1968, they didn't just create a sports sedan, they invented an entire category. This wasn't just another economy car with a bigger engine, it was a complete rethinking of what a sports car could be. The 2002 proved that practicality and performance weren't mutually exclusive, they were perfect partners. That boxy, no-nonsense body wasn't trying to be pretty, it was trying to be functional. The clean lines, the perfect proportions, and the distinctive kidney grills created a silhouette that was both purposeful and timeless. This wasn't about style, it was about substance. 2002 looked exactly what it was: a serious machine for serious drivers. Under that understated hood sat BMW's legendary 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine, producing 130 horsepower. It doesn't sound like much, but in a car that weighed just 2,130 pounds, it was more than enough. The 2002 could hit 60 mph in 8.5 seconds and reach a top speed of 112 mph. But it was the way it got there that mattered. Here's what made it revolutionary. The 2002 proved that handling was more important than horsepower. While American manufacturers were stuffing bigger engines into heavier cars, BMW created a machine that could embarrass cars with twice the power. The independent suspension, precise steering, and perfect balance made it a track weapon that could also commute to work. The shocking truth? The 2002 was originally designed for the American market. BMW needed to compete with British sports cars in the lucrative U.S. market, so they created a car that combined German engineering with sports car performance. The result was automotive perfection. What made it legendary was its influence. The 2002 established the template for every sports sedan that followed. The BMW 3 Series, the Mercedes 190e, and countless other performance sedans all owe their existence to the 2002. It didn't just perform, it redefined what a sports car could be. Today, a pristine 2002 is worth serious money, and every penny is justified for this piece of automotive history. Datsun Donnerquartze, 1969-73. When Datsun dropped the 240Z in 1969, they didn't just create a sports car, they rewrote the rules of what affordable performance could be. This wasn't just another pretty face from Japan, it was a complete revolution that proved you didn't need European exotic pricing to get European exotic performance. The 240Z was the democratization of sports car excellence. That Albrecht Goertz designed body wasn't just beautiful, it was perfectly proportioned. The long hood, short deck, and aggressive stance created a silhouette that looked like it was doing 100 mph standing still. The distinctive profile, the flared fenders, and that iconic fastback roofline made it instantly recognizable and absolutely gorgeous. This was automotive sculpture that happened to be affordable. Under that sensuous steel skin sat Nissan's legendary 2.4-liter inline-six engine, producing 151 horsepower. It doesn't sound like much today, but in 1969, it was more than enough to embarrass cars costing twice as much. The 240Z could hit 60 mph in 8.0 seconds and reach a top speed of 125 mph, but it was the way it delivered that performance that mattered. The shocking truth? The 240Z was faster than the Jaguar E-Type, handled better than the Triumph TR6, and cost less than half the price of either. It wasn't just competitive with European sports cars, it was better than most of them. Independent rear suspension, four-wheel disc brakes, and a perfectly balanced chassis made it a track weapon that could show its tail to much more expensive machines. Here's what made it revolutionary. The 240Z proved that Japanese manufacturers could build world-class sports cars, while Europe was building beautiful but temperamental machines, and America was focused on straight-line muscle. Nissan created a car that was both reliable and exciting. It started every morning, needed minimal maintenance, and delivered thrills that European exotics couldn't match. What made it legendary was its perfect timing. The 240Z arrived just as the sports car market was crying out for something reliable, affordable, and genuinely exciting. It didn't just compete with European sports cars, it made them obsolete. The 240Z sold over 160,000 units in its first generation, proving that there was a massive appetite for affordable performance. Today, a pristine 240Z is worth serious money, but it's still one of the most accessible classic sports cars ever built. And that's a wrap. The ultimate lineup of 1960s sports cars, icons so legendary they make today's supercars feel like mere imitators. These weren't just vehicles, they were the benchmarks that redefined speed, style, and pure driving passion. From thunderous American muscle to jaw-dropping European exotics, these legends didn't just set the bar, they became it. If you loved this ride through the greatest era in sports car history, smash that like button, subscribe to Muscle Car Masters, and share with every car lover you know. True greatness never dies.